Up in an hour's time, I want to bring in Zohra De Villiers, the head of tax and employment at KPMG. I mean, needless to say, this is a very difficult task because in simple terms, you have only so much money, but you've got so much social obligation. This is not going to be an easy one for the Finance Minister to drive out by any measure, Zohra.
Yeah, no, you're 100% correct with that, and really interesting. There were some big ticket items that came out of the SONA.
Yep.
We know the social grant, the employment tax incentive, the MMMEs, SMMEs, it all comes with a price tag. But what can the minister do in terms of the revenue, the tax revenues? If we look at personal income tax, it makes up the biggest contributor of our tax budget. And we're currently sitting at a marginal tax rate of 45%. Now, if you compare that to global averages, which is about 31%, and Africa average is about 32%, we're definitely higher than those. National Treasury has indicated that they would want to lower this going forward. But of course, that can just happen if we broaden the tax base, and that comes with economic activity, increased economic activity, more employment, more jobs. It is not an easy task.
And that's exactly what we were speaking about, because we know that there's not going to be any major tax pronouncements this afternoon. But the only way, as we said before, to get money into those coffers is that you either raise taxes or you borrow more money. Now, we're sitting around about 70% of GDP on our debt. Many people will say, I don't want to hear the convoluted figures. But the truth of the matter is, all of those items that lie on the periphery of the consumer, it comes from this budget. So my question to you is, economic growth is such a big thing. If you don't get people into jobs, you do not get tax revenue. What do you think is essentially going to be said this afternoon to encourage businesses to put capital into this economy?
Well, you know, last year our Minister of Finance did indicate that the corporate income tax rate is going to be reduced by 1% to 27%.
Yep.
That has been promulgated, but the effective date of implementation has not been announced.
So it won't happen this afternoon?
Hopefully we'll mention something on it, but whether it will come in on the 1st of April 22, that is the question. Probably not, but we need that because we need the direct foreign investment to come into South Africa. We want to be competitive. We want foreign investment so that we can create more jobs, so that we can actually get more people into the tax net. Now, if that is delayed, the implementation of the 1% reduction, it can have an impact on even our local businesses because they employ people, and if people lose their jobs, it will have an impact on your personal income tax as well as that, which everybody pays for. So it is difficult, but we don't expect an increase in the personal income tax at all, and we're hoping there will be an announcement on when that reduction on the corporate income tax rate will come into effect.
There was a silver lining towards the end of last year. We've been speaking about this throughout the entire morning. The fact that we've got a windfall at the end of the year because mining companies did so well and contributed to the coffers. That in part made the extension of the 350 Rand grant possible for a year. You can't take that away, though, can you? Because we do not have jobs in this country for those dependents to get into. What happens when that windfall ends? What happens when the cycle ends? Where does the money come from then?
Yeah, you see, you said it's a windfall. So the minister will be careful in spending that because it cannot go for expenditure that is going to continue. Hopefully, it will be good if we actually can get more of the windfalls going forward. But that could be one of the reasons why the tax rate cannot drop now, the corporate income tax rate. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see.
Just a very quick one on the dual responsibility that the Finance Minister has. On the one hand, he's got to allocate money, but on the other hand, he's got to see that apart from just giving people grants, all of those services that lie on the outside, and I'm talking about social services, whether it's hospitals, whether it's schools, whether it's getting people into rehabilitation centers and making sure the social network is fine, he's got to also fund that. So that dual responsibility is not an easy one because the education department, for example, will say we need some money to get our schools in order. That's not going to be an easy prioritization for the Minister this afternoon, is it?
Yeah, no, that is correct. There's only so much money to go around. And I can give you an indication. Personal income tax, as I've mentioned, it contributes 39% of the tax revenue in our country. Now, if you drill down on that number, I looked at the SARS report for 2021 fiscal year, and it was indicated in there that there are 23.9 million registered taxpayers. That is a big amount, and I actually was a bit confused. But in there, they also indicated that a number of those taxpayers are actually only there because of our registration requirements. If you drill down into that number, you will note that only 7.6 million taxpayers contribute to the personal income tax.
It's a staggering amount.
If you drill a little bit further down, you will note that less than 500,000, that is 500,000 people, contribute 52% of our personal income tax, and therefore it's not sustainable. So we have to increase the tax base, and that comes, as we said, from increased activity in our economy and job creation. So it is a difficult task for the Minister, and we'll see what he comes up with later today.
Zohra De Villiers from KPMG, thanks very much indeed for your time to us. Essentially, if I wrap that up, if you do not broaden the tax base by getting more people into jobs, to us, it's a very, very difficult task for the Finance Minister, anyone who occupies that portfolio in the years to come. So now, this afternoon, what is he going to do to ensure that we've got an environment that creates more economic activity and jobs? That's the big question this afternoon to us.
Without a doubt, Devan, that sums it up very nicely in terms of what needs to happen when the Finance Minister takes to the podium in less than an hour's time. That's eNCA Business Editor Devan Murugan live for us from Parliament. And still to